Ladies and gentlemen, I am so thrilled to have my friend, the wonderfully talented Paul Thompson here with me this evening. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great, Tony. Thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, and you are doing great. You're doing well on many, many fronts, so I'm so thrilled to have you here and have this conversation with you.
Well, I'm blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to be able to make music.
Agreed. I mean, on the making music part.
Yeah.
You being here, maybe you may be sorry later. Anyway, all right, so we're going to get to these questions. So, Paul, you've been playing bass professionally for over 30 years. When did you first know that the bass was going to be your instrument and your path in life?
Well, I'm old enough to have taken music in school when I was growing up. I was kind of the last generation, my generation, that really had music as part of our core curriculum, and we all got to play some kind of instrument or sing or play piano. And so I took music when I was a kid. I took piano lessons. I had a couple of violin lessons, and then I kind of settled on the trumpet when I was in middle school. So I played a lot of trumpet through middle school, but then I met a guy who would become my best friend as a pre-teenager and a teenager. Somebody we both know, a really great drummer named Paul Wells, who he's wonderful, wonderful jazz drummer. He teaches at Juilliard now. He lives in New York. He was this prodigy, and we started hanging out based on nothing to do with music. We liked ninjas. We liked to watch Star Wars. We used to do that every weekend. We would get a pizza and watch Star Wars. And he started turning me on to the music that he was into. So I started listening very heavily into what he loved, which was progressive rock. It was like Rush, Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, King Crimson, stuff like that. And I really wanted to play with him. And so I couldn't do it on the trumpet. There was no trumpet in that music. So I was going to play guitar, but I thought that the bass might be easier because it only had 4 strings as opposed to 6 strings. And also because Geddy Lee, we're listening to Rush, the music of Rush is very bass intensive. It's got incredible bass lines and bass parts. So I said, I think I'm going to do that. And I really fell in love with it. I like to say that music chose me because once I got swept up in the wave, there was no getting out of it. It's a lifelong pursuit, and I fell head over heels. And when Paul started pivoting into jazz, I kind of followed him, and that kind of opened another door for me. And ever since then, I've been this music obsessed in this love affair with music and the bass since then. Yeah. So that's how I started playing the bass. I started playing it, and in high school, I started playing in ensembles. I was a trumpet player. I started asking to be able to play bass. My teacher put an upright bass in my hand in high school for the first time, and that just opened all these doors for me musically.
That's awesome. I remember Paul very well. His dad used to bring him out to gigs of mine.
Yep.
And great people. And I think I played on Paul's audition tape for college.
Oh my goodness. I think I remember that too. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So he's a great player. He was such a nice, I remember him as a kid, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a teenager coming out to hear us.
Yeah.
And really nice. And I knew he was super talented and was going to do really well. So make sure you say hi to him. Okay.
For sure. Definitely.
Yeah. He's great. And so are you, man. You were good at a really young age. So it's great to see how you've progressed and how you've stuck with it.
Well, I was fortunate. I was really fortunate enough to have guys like you and people like David Budway and Greg Humphreys and obviously Roger Humphreys and Dwayne Dolphin. The Pittsburgh scene was so fertile, and there were so many great senior jazz musicians that took me under their wing and allowed me to learn on the bandstand and kept hiring me and kept calling me, people like Maureen Budway, who I got to play with so much, and I learned so much playing with my elders, so to speak, that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and so many other incredible musicians that I looked up to.
Oh, well, that's nice of you to say. And by the way, Maureen Budway, for those of you who don't know Maureen, and her brother Dave is still around and he's playing his can off, but Maureen sang like a bird. I mean, she was just amazing, an amazing person and an amazing vocalist. So you can find some stuff on YouTube and online, some of her singing. So I urge you to look her up, Maureen Budway.
Yes.
Budway, because she was beautiful all the way around, huh?
Yes, sir, for sure.
Yeah. We both got to work with her, and I feel so blessed to have known her. She was really cool. So since you brought up the Pittsburgh scene, I mean, you've worked with pretty much everybody now. I mean, most people, right? Especially in the jazz and even like the bluesy R&B thing, because I played a gig with you in San Antonio, Texas with Billy Price.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, I mean, it's a wonderful scene. It's small enough that we mostly know each other, but it's large enough that you get to play with a lot of different kind of people and a lot of different music. If it's jazz, if it's Latin, if it's R&B, if it's blues, if it's playing in the pit for like a Broadway type show. That's how I met my wife. Classical thing, I got to play with the Pittsburgh Symphony for the first time about a year and a half ago, which was nuts. And it's diverse. And I often tell my students, if you're a mediocre bass player, you're going to work, because people always need bass players. They will always need to call a bass player. So I've had a lot of wonderful opportunities being in this town. Being in Pittsburgh has really allowed me to really broaden my scope and have all kind of wonderful musical opportunities. And I love it. I love it here. I love being from here, and I still love living here.
It's a great town. And by the way, folks, Paul is not one of the mediocre bass players.
Well.
No, you are not in the mediocre category. But I understand what you're saying, because bass players are in great need. And, but you happen to be on the upper tier, No, you're not. When you said that, I was like, oh man, no, I don't think so.
I'm working on it.
Well, we all are. And now, when you played with the symphony, was that with the Pops?
Yes, it
Byron
was.
Stripling?
Yes, it was It was their Christmas show. And
so I worked with Byron. I did the CJO's Christmas one year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's great. He's
really great. Well, he brought in two of his guys from Ohio, a great pianist, and a great drummer.
Okay, so my guess is it was Bobby Floyd.
That's right.
And Reggie Jackson.
That's right. That's exactly who it was. Yeah. So I got to play with those guys.
Are wonderful. I've played with both of them.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Well, what a great experience, man. There's nothing like hearing a symphony.
Oh my God. And especially around you, to be on stage and to hear. Yeah. So for the program, we had to do a bunch of different kinds of music, and I was more or less the jazz bass player. But there were portions of the program where they played part of the Nutcracker, like they played a movement and stuff happening around me, and I didn't have to play. And just to sit there and be surrounded by that sound it's an experience. It's really amazing.
You're like in the live Atmos,
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
That's
good.
Amazing.
So good.
Yeah. I've been there because I played a gig out in Los Angeles at the Nokia Theater, and they had a full orchestra with vocalists from the cast from Glee and all it was crazy. So there was so much sound happening all around you, and pretty cool. Well, you should be doing stuff like that. You should be. Yeah. I'm going to pause for a second.
Sure.
Need a bit of a frog in the throat, don't you know? So, Paul, you are a fine electric player as well as an upright player. And by the way, there's a guy that watches all of these shows. He's from the UK. And when he saw you were going to be on, he was excited because he said, a double bass. and he called it the double bass.
Yes.
And so I think it's really cool. You're wonderful at both. So I would like to hear some of your influences on both instruments.
Sure. So they are very varied and wide. The first influence I ever had on the bass was Geddy Lee, because I was listening to Rush all the time. So he's still, to this day, one of my superheroes on the instrument. And Chris Squire from Yes is also like somebody whose playing is in my head. But when I started branching out into jazz, then I started getting into people like Stanley Clarke. My grandfather gave me my first Stanley Clarke record when he heard I was playing bass guitar. He came into town and he went to this old record store called Stediford's.
Yeah.
And he if you remember Stediford's on the north side.
Dude.
And he came over our house and he said, I heard you're playing the bass. I have something for you. And he gave me this Stanley Clarke record, which was amazing. John Patitucci was another really serious influence for me. Jaco Pastorius, obviously, everybody loves Jaco. And then when I really started getting into the history of jazz, people like Ray Brown, Paul Chambers, Ron Carter, those really important, amazing upright bass players, Jimmy Blanton, Oscar Pettiford, Charlie Hayden. There's so many of them. But yeah, I've had so many varied influences. And I have to say also, the people that I got to see play the instrument in person had a very, very deep impact on me, especially Dwayne Dolphin, Pittsburgh bass player. Getting to see him play live hundreds of times was really important to me, as well as people like Dave LaRocca, a great bass player who has since passed. He was a really wonderful guy named Dave Pello, who played here for many years, a guy you played with all the time named Danny Roche. He was very, very important to me, as well as John Hall, incredible funk bass player here in town. So like all these people, I feel have really molded how I want to play the instrument and how I hear it in my head.
That's wonderful. Those are great influences to have, all of them. In fact, John Hall, since you brought him up, every show I start the show with a song I wrote for my brother, Victor. So there's a song called Victor Vicious, came out on my 1994 CD. John Hall is on it, and he slaps the heck out of this thing. John's the funkster, man. He is cool.
He is the baddest dude ever. He gave me one lesson at his house. He used to live I lived with my grandmother, and his house was kind of his backyard. You could throw a stone from our backyard and hit his backyard. So he would help me every once in a while. I'd go over his house. Like he showed me how to put a tweeter into my first bass amp. We opened it up and he helped me install a tweeter, and we would hang out and stuff. And he gave me one lesson where he put on a drum machine and he made it play this really simple beat, and I had to play this Parliament bass line with it for like half an hour. He made me play these two notes for a half an hour, and he would walk in and out of the room, and he came back in the room. He was like, I think you're starting to get it. Keep going. It was crazy. It was crazy. And like, I will always cherish it.
That's great. Well, it's all about the groove, man. It's all about the groove.
That's right.
Really is.
And he knows. Yeah. He would know. He's one of the fiercest groovesters ever.
Yeah, and I think John's doing some gigs with Pieces of a Dream right now.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I've been very happy to see he gets to go out on the road and play with them, and they are very fortunate to have that brother playing bass.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun together. We did some road trips with Kenny Blake together. And some of our accommodations were not the best on the road. So every once in a while, John sends me a picture of a big hairy spider, because we stayed at a place in Cape May, New Jersey that was infested with these big hairy spiders. Yeah. It was terrible. Really, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was the same place. We stayed above the kitchen at the club. And I think it was called the Shire in Cape May, I think, if I remember correctly. And it was really hot. We didn't have AC. And if we opened up the window, the exhaust fan from the kitchen blew in the window. It wasn't great, but we laugh about it. It was cool. We had 4 nights there, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. The old days, man.
Yeah, but he's great, and so are you. You have had some wonderful experiences recording and touring. So you played with Maynard Ferguson and Stanley Turrentine, both of those guys, and they're legends. Tell me about that stuff.
Well, that was amazing. It was something I always cherish. Maynard Ferguson, I will tell you, is 100% the person off the stage as he was on the stage. He was a beautiful guy, ebullient, huge personality, happy, joyful, loved playing music. And I got to go places with him, Japan, Europe a couple times. I got to play Ronnie Scott's, the legendary club in London, for 2 weeks. We were there for 2 weeks. And so I got to do one of the only major label records I'm on is his record called Brass Attitude, which was on Concord Jazz. But the experiences I have with him, I will always treasure, and I'll always treasure how real he was. He was a real person. He was easy to talk to. He could talk to anybody. We did a lot of clinics when I played with him. We would go to a typical day would be like kind of arriving at a high school in the Midwest, and the kids would meet us and unload the bus, and then we would go in and have a clinic, and we would teach. He loved to teach, loved to tell kids about how to play music, and then the band parents would make us dinner, and they always thought that we never had a good meal on the road. So like every night was Thanksgiving dinner. Every night, these parents would make the most incredible spread you've ever seen in your life, and then we play the gig, and we go back to the hotel and freshen up, and then most likely do a hit and run, which is you get back on the tour bus, and you'd sleep on the bus all night while it went to the next city. So it was really a type of touring I don't think people were ever going to get to experience again, where we would, I would leave for a tour with Maynard in September and come back in December. It was like really grinding tour bus type stuff, but I met a lot of wonderful people doing it. And he opened up so many doors for me as far as meeting some wonderful people. The way I play changed. Playing on the road, when you go on tour, it's a different kind of a mindset when you play. And just the places I got to go. I got to play the Montreux Jazz Festival in Tokyo, Japan. Yeah. The only time I've ever been to Tokyo was to play with Maynard. And he was bigger than life on the bus, just like he was off the bus. And he knew how to put on a great show. And he was a great performer. I love to tell the story. He was an older guy, and he had to have dental work. One time, he had a dentist that did tooth work for him right before we came to Pittsburgh. We played at the Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, and they didn't put his teeth back the right way. There was something that was off about his teeth. So he had a hard time hitting the super high notes. But man, he put on the greatest show I've ever seen. And he couldn't, his chops weren't there. And the ironic thing is, the next city he went to a dentist, and they fixed it, and all the high notes came back after we had played in Pittsburgh. But he was just the ultimate showman, and one of the best musicians I've ever been on stage with. There's stuff that he played in sound checks that was just unbelievable. In the sound checks, we would play a tune like So What or something, and we would beg him on the gig, boss, play that on the gig. Because he knew that people would come out to hear these screaming high notes, but he could play. He could really play. And just being around him, being that whole experience, I would never trade for anything. And so I went directly from that experience. We had taken a break. We were on a 2 or 3 week break, and I got called to play this gig with Stanley Turrentine. And so I took it because I was free. And after I played the gig with Stanley, and I didn't think anything of it, his wife called me, who was his manager. She called me about a week later when I was right about to go out on the road again. And she said, we have this date at Blues Alley in Washington, D.C. Can you come and play? It's these 4 nights. And I looked at my schedule. I said, I could just make the tour. Yes, I'll do it. And then 5 minutes later, she called me back. She said, we're doing the Blue Note a week after that. Can you do that gig? And at that point, I would have been back out on the road with Maynard. So I thought really hard for about 3 seconds. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. So that's how I went. I went literally, it was a lateral move. I went right from Stanley's band, from Maynard's band right into Stanley's band. And it's cool. The people with Maynard's band were very cool about my transition too. We had it all set up so that the next bass player was another guy from Pittsburgh, great bass player, actually from West Virginia, named Nathan Peck. And he came out.
Peck's really well.
Yeah. So Nathan, we had it all lined up where my last week, I went back out on the tour with Maynard, and then Nathan came and kind of watched me for a week, and then I left, and he was already in place to play bass. And it was crazy going from a situation where you're sharing a bus with a room with somebody, you're on a bus with all these guys, you're grinding it out, and then going to Stanley, like having my own hotel room, flying to each gig, playing the type of music that was much smaller and more intimate. It was like night and day, but everything was still there as far as watching a master, sharing the stage with somebody who every night was just like, wow. Stanley was one of the musicians I played with in my life also that I felt like could just elevate everybody. Like, even if things didn't sound good, if there was a bad feeling in the room, if the crowd wasn't there, he could just play a tune and make everybody do this together and just congeal somehow and make you greater than you were before the song. But he was wonderful. I got to know him, personally. He was great to work for. He was very encouraging of me. His nickname for me, I was 26 years old when I played with him, so he called me Youngin', because everybody else was older than me, mostly in their 40s. I got to play with people like Kei Akagi, James Williams, the late great pianist James Williams was incredible. A great drummer from DC named Lenny Robinson, the great Dave Stryker on guitar.
Yeah.
And like just being on the stage with those guys and the lessons I learned from Stanley, are immeasurable musical lessons. He would the first week I played with him, he gave me a solo on Sugar and a bass solo on his tune, and I played a little too long, and I was coming around to the next chorus, and he came back in right over me. And so I was like, I got it. Message received. I will never do that again. So I never took more than one chorus after that bass solo. And I learned how to say what I had to say in that one chorus I was going to get. But it was great to travel with him. He had so much fun on the bandstand. He loved to play music. And he was that sound, man, to be underneath that sound and that vibe. Every gig I did with him also, we played Sugar every gig. Every single gig. There was not one gig, whether it was a 20-minute set or a 4-hour, or like a week-long thing. Every gig we played Sugar. Every gig he destroyed it. Every single gig. It was really amazing. And the last gig I played with him, which was his last gig, we played an encore. We played at the Blue Note in New York. And our encore was a blues he wrote called LaPlace Street. And man, he brought the house down. It was some of his best playing ever was that last tune that he played. He was killing. And then the next night we were at the Blue Note for a week. This was on a Saturday night. He played that encore. The next day, his wife was apparently trying to get a hold of me. She didn't, because this was I didn't have my cell phone then or whatever. And I got to the club on that Sunday night, and it was very somber. It was sparsely filled. and everybody looked upset. And I walked in with my bass and I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Didn't you hear? He had a stroke." And, you know, his wife found him in the bathroom and they're in the hospital. And I was just like, what? And that was it. That was totally it. I drove back to Pittsburgh the next day and she called me and she said, yeah, he had another one and it's just over. Go, you can tell people. So it was that kind of that was like an unceremonious end. So I spent a year and a half with Maynard and a year and a half pretty much with Stanley. And it was some of my greatest experiences. And not that I'm like thinking those were the good old days. There's so many lessons those guys taught me. And I carry that into where I am now. Things about playing, things about how to play, how to be a professional, how to travel, how to be a great person. Because both of those guys, they were great elders to me. They were great role models. I used to get depressed when I played with Stanley about my playing. You know, I used to get upset. One time we played at Birdland in New York, and I was really just like down in the dumps back in the green room, you know, and he sat back there and tried to cheer me up the whole break. I'll never forget that. He was telling me stories about John Coltrane because he knew him, and stories about Ray Charles and how, you know, how those guys used to get down about playing. And like he always tried to uplift most of the time. And he always brought the highest level of music, always the highest level. And I'll never forget that. So that time was very special to me.
Oh, I bet. And it's not, it isn't like living in the past. Those are wonderful experiences that travel with you the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So now it's still present because those influences are part of what made Paul Thompson, right?
Yes, definitely.
So, wow, how cool. And I have to say this, I'm a giant Stanley Turrentine fan. His sound for me is one of my all-time favorite tenor sounds ever. I just love it. He has that thing, it's just this warm, but it's so soulful, and he has enough blues in it for me that makes it, you know, it's got like a real juicy thing happening, but he can play bebop stuff too. And I loved him. So wow, how incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing time in my life that I will always hold dear. In fact, for my YouTube channel, I keep saying this, I want to sit down and just talk about both of those experiences in different videos before I start forgetting things. Because at this point, it's been over 25 years and I want to get these memories out before I forget them.
You should do it. You should do it because you lived those experiences. Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, since we brought up the YouTube channel, you have a great channel and it's very informative. And you've grown this thing to over 200,000 subscribers, which is awesome. I mean, it's amazing because, you know, music channels are tough.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And you are like killing. But I know why. Because you put an amazing amount of work in, and it's so cool and so informative. And you're not like the jazz police guy. You branch out to all kinds of stuff. You're not just right.
Yes. No, I if music excites me, then I don't want to be held back by I can only talk about this. And I've been lucky. Sometimes I really hit the jackpot as far as if I want to take a left and talk about Joe Jackson's bass player, I feel like it's not going to hurt my Paul Chambers crowd or whatever. So I love it. I cannot do a video unless I feel strongly about it. That's always been my rule. I have to really dig it. I have to be really passionate about it in order to tell the story and how it kind of affects me the way that it comes out. And that's something I've definitely learned over time with YouTube as well, is that I understand that I'm kind of the main character of the story. People are coming back to see me talk about music, and that it took me a while to come to grips with that because I'm shy And I don't like the focus to be on me. It's part of the reason that I play bass, that I chose bass, was that I could be kind of the back of the band guy and I wouldn't have to be in front. And part of the YouTube thing is realizing that it's my story. It's me. It's part of it is the communication and being open and honest enough to share that truth with everybody. I'm still learning. But it's I love doing it. I really, really love doing it. It's ups and downs though, because the algorithm, you never know if the algorithm is going to like the video that you just did and want to push it out to more people, or if now it's a copyright thing has been a recent thing. If I use 6 seconds of something as a point of reference, is UMG going to come in now and like claim all of the revenue from my video, and now I have to argue that, and like it's, you know, there's some annoyances, but for me it's totally worth it because I really love doing it. It's like another phase of the music for me. What I've been doing, everything I've been doing up until now, it felt like it led to this YouTube thing, and that's the next, you know. And I saw that, so I didn't really start seriously doing it until 2020 when COVID hit. I wanted to do it the year before, and I bought a camera and everything. I asked my wife, I want to get this good video camera, and can I do it? And she was cool with it, but I was very like, I'm too busy. And then COVID happened and we were all home, and something in the universe was like telling me now's the time to do it. And I didn't know what to do. So I started just playing a bass solo every day in March, because in that point in 2020, March 2020, all the gigs were getting canceled and I had no idea when I was going to play again. So I started putting the camera up and just playing a bass solo every day until I had another gig. And that got me used to just putting the camera up and uploading. And I had no problem. It got me kind of in the world. No matter who saw it, I was just putting up a bass solo every day. And I did that 63 times before I had a gig. I did 63 days, 63 tunes in a row. Like I'd play the head and walk and then take a bass solo. And so I did that 63 times. And then I did a vlog about how the first gig went. And that kind of rocketed me into, you know, just trying things. Okay, what if I do a video lesson? What if I talk about this? And I kind of spitballed for a few months, and then I did a video about how much I love this Donald Fagen album called The Night Fly and all the great bass players. It ended up being kind of this documentary, and I wasn't thinking about views. I was thinking about one of my students who loved that record, and it was kind of a love letter to that record. And I wasn't thinking this is going to go viral, but I did that video, and then Will Lee saw it, who's on that record, and he shared it, and that made it kind of blow up. And that was the first time I was like, wow, people could be interested in what I'm doing. And again, I kind of spitball for another year, just trying things. And I had two magic moments. One was I asked my wife about, so I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed over 20 years ago, right after my 30th birthday. And I was really searching inside of myself about the channel and being open about who I am. And that was part of my story. And I asked my wife, do you think I've been thinking about doing a video about talking about my experience with multiple sclerosis and like the medication I take and the symptoms that I experience. And she said, you should do it. So I sat down and I did that video, and I felt like I had bared a part of my soul. And it didn't go like viral or anything, but it opened me up in a way that I can't describe. And I was ready to kind of go to another level. And then the second instance was I had a lesson with a student who couldn't understand a concept. And I laid it out very simply to her. It was this kind of 3-note thing. And I looked at the writing on the board, and I said, wow, I should make a video out of this. But if I did this video, it would be 5 minutes long. Who would want to watch this 5-minute video? So I did the video, and that kind of blew up. It got a lot of views, and I thought, wow, I wonder if I keep doing this. It's, you know, the algorithm kind of bit on this kind of bite-size, concentrated 5-6 minute piece of information where I'm playing and giving you details. And I kind of rode that coattail for a while. So, and I'm still discovering things because the algorithm makes you can't do the same thing every time, and it's not going to reward you for the same thing every time. So it's still a journey as a creative. What's a new story I can tell? What's a new way I can tell it? What's something I haven't talked about, or a new way of looking at something? What's going to push me as a musician? What can I do now in the next video to kind of push my own thing? Am I going to play a lot and break down a playing concept? Am I going to just talk about what I love about a song and break down the song? And am I going to vlog something? Like I did that recently. I made a trip to New York. I kind of made a vlog. So it's still, my wife will tell you, I will always talk about YouTube because it's on my mind. It's something that's, it really scratches this creative itch for me that I really, really love. So and I love connecting. I still very much love connecting with people. I get messages, on a weekly basis, just to my email, people telling me about how much they appreciate the channel. And it means so much to me to be able to connect with people. I still run into people in the real world. My wife and I went to New Orleans about 1.5 years ago for spring break. And I'm not kidding you. There was a guy playing trombone on Bourbon Street by himself. And we walked in front of this guy and he looked at me. He said, "Aren't you on YouTube?" And I said, "Yeah, that's so cool that this trombone player that I didn't know across the country recognizes me." He was like, "Oh, I love your videos." I was like, "What's your name?" Like it was unbelievable, the connections I've been able to make through doing this and that I continue to make. It's such a blessing that I do not overlook. And I'm so thankful, not just getting to, every time I post a video, I'm thankful that I get to upload something and share a story, but I'm thankful for every single comment that I get on the videos and the feedback I'm getting and the musical itch that I'm kind of scratching for people, my viewers, my community. And it's, I've been really fortunate. I've been really, 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 really fortunate. And I don't take that for granted. Because that's the new thing too. That's another reason that I started doing YouTube, was because in the back of my head, I thought this is kind of the direction. Certainly 6-7 years ago, it was like everything's going in this direction. Everybody's got to have some kind of social media something. This is the way the music is now being transmitted. This is the way people are meeting each other. It used to be when we were younger, you would make a CD. That was kind of your currency. You would make an album, and this is my calling card. Now it's like, what's your Instagram like? What's your YouTube like? That's become our kind of calling card now. And I could kind of see that coming a few years ago. So I'm glad I was able to kind of grab the coattails of it.
You did, and I urge everybody that's watching this video, if you're not subscribed to Paul's channel, PD Bass, and I think those are initials. Initial.
Yes,
Paul David.
That's my middle name is David, so I never change that because I get a lot of feedback. I teach at CAPA, the Pittsburgh Performing Arts School, and I work with a lot of high schoolers, and they were giving me constant. They still do to this day. They give me a lot of feedback on my thumbnails and my titles and videos and stuff. I was going to change it to Paul Thompson, and they were the ones that said no. It has to be. You have to keep it. That was my old username, PD Bass. They said it fits on a T-shirt. Yeah, that's your brand. PD Bass. Keep it PD Bass. So I said, okay.
That's it. Well, it's wonderful. In fact, how varied your material is. I happened to catch an episode not too long ago, and I always liked. I'm a closet Kajagoogoo fan. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I heard you do the Too Shy, which always I thought was great. The playing was really cool on it, and so everybody has to check out your channel. So everybody subscribe and go check it out. It's awesome. You'll hear all kinds of music, reggae bass. I mean, rock bass, Rolling Stone stuff, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, all kinds.
Jazz, rock, funk. I heard a Kenny Loggins thing, and
Yeah, if it catches my ear, it's something I got to talk about. That's my rule. If I get excited about it, I got to share it.
Speaking of, I love Christopher Cross, and I know you did something recently about Christopher Cross, and you went and saw him.
Oh yeah, my
Tell
wife.
me about the concert. How'd you love that concert?
It was unbelievable. So my wife and I recently, in the spring, we celebrated our 25th anniversary. We've been together for 25 years. We've only been married for 10. Our 10th anniversary is next month, but we've been a couple for 25 years. And so as her gift to me, her 25th anniversary gift, she got me tickets for Christopher Cross front row, which I totally freaked out about. It was amazing, but she wouldn't give me the tickets unless she said, here's 2 things you have to do to get these tickets. You have to do a video about Christopher Cross. And she said, you have to wear your PD Bass t-shirt to the concert. Because I guess she thought if I did a video that he would somehow see it and then somehow see that I was in the front row. But it didn't really happen like that. But I'm really proud of, because I really had to search for the video. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I really listened to that first record a lot. And I kind of found a hook. And the video has been doing pretty well. I've been shocked at how well it's been going. And I tried every trick in the book. I thought nobody's going to see this video. So I did all these camera tricks in the video to get it to engage with people. But it ended up being pretty good. Like I'm really happy with how it turned out. And as it turned out, his bass player saw it, and we're friends on Instagram now. And he said, hey, whenever we come back, you're more than welcome to come to a show. I'd love to meet you. And he was really cool. Awesome. And the concert was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. He puts on a really great show. He's very, very funny in person and super dry, played his butt off, sang his butt off, had an incredible band, and put on just such a wonderful show that it was really enjoyable. The only thing I regretted was that my wife, who's an actress, she had to do a show for CLO downtown. She was working. So I wasn't able to take her to the concert, but I still had I took one of my students who loves all things yacht rock. So cool. it was very, very amazing. And Christopher Cross is definitely bringing it still.
That's cool. Now, I bet with you in the front row, and Christopher Cross, I think, is a pretty big guy. He must have looked like he was 20 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. Yeah. But he doesn't. The funny thing about Christopher Cross, all this incredible stuff coming out of him, he hardly moves.
Yeah.
And he hardly moves his mouth when he sings. Yeah. He's just like fairly still when you see him singing and playing, and all this incredible sound comes out of him.
You're right. And he's that big guy, and that high voice is coming out of there. And by the way, your video is great. And did you transcribe the Larry Carlton solo?
Oh, yeah, I had to. But that was part of the hook. I was like, wow, that guitar solo is not from this planet. What is he playing? Yeah. Like the stuff he plays on that solo is unbelievable.
It's killer. It's killer. He's great. One of my favorites. My favorites. Well, that's so cool. So everybody, you have to go to PD Bass YouTube. I will have the links in the description, and during the stream, there's some very kind folks that show up live, and they're posting links and stuff like that. So you've done great with it. So keep at it, man. You're just doing wonderfully.
Thanks, Tony.
So, Paul, I forgot to ask you something when you were talking about your time with Maynard Ferguson. I know you hooked up with guys there that you're lifelong friends with, and I know a few of them. Dave Throckmorton, a great drummer, and then Mike MacArthur. My friend Mike is a wonderful tenor saxophonist. And who else did that gig with you?
Oh my gosh, so many great guys. The musical director, when I joined the band, was an incredible trombonist, multi-instrumentalist from Chicago named Tom Garling. There is a trumpet player who has been with Billy Joel for the last 20 years named Carl Fisher. He actually plays trumpet and saxophone with Billy Joel.
Carl's on my CD.
Oh, okay. He's one of the greatest guys ever. He was the first guy I met in the band. He probably gave me the nickname PT. That's what all the musicians usually in town call me, PT. He was the first guy to ever, when I got on the tour, on Maynard's tour bus, and he saw me, he was like, "Hey, what's up?" He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Paul Thompson." And he went, "PT." Like immediately he gave me that nickname. But he was incredible. Sal Giorgiani was a saxophone player who was on the Miles at Montreux album. Great player. Mike Debanowitz, another great saxophonist from New York. Rano Swansky, a really great keyboard player who's an organ guy in New York. Earl McDonald, wonderful pianist and arranger. He's been the head of the UMass. He's in New England. He's been an educator for the last 25 years. And I got Dave Throckmorton on the band. The drummer didn't quite work out on my first tour. And so I said, I know a guy who will make your eyes explode. Like your head will explode when you hear this guy and you see him. And I got him out on the band. So for a while, there was this great Pittsburgh kind of connection. I was the first guy to get out there, and I got Throck out, and then we both kind of got Reggie Watkins out on trombone, and he became the MD. And then after me was Nathan Peck, and after Nathan Peck was Brian Stahersky, who spent some time with the band, and Jeff Lashway played piano. So there was a serious like Pittsburgh presence in the Maynard Ferguson band for a while. But all those guys, man, it was such good times. And I couldn't tell you a lot about the music we played. I remember things. I remember having moments. It's the time that you spend with people and the stories when you travel. Those are the things that stick with me. My interactions with everybody, the crazy stories when we're in Germany or Japan, what we ate, sitting on the bus, what we watched on TV on the bus, like stuff like that. That's what sticks with you after an experience like that. It was nothing really musical, because we had a set show that we would do every night. It was the time together that really had an impact on me. But yeah, there's so many wonderful characters that I met in that band, and people that I continue to, even if I bump into them once in a while, it's really, really awesome the time that we have. In fact, I have a funny story, like the kind of stuff I remember. One time we were in Heathrow, and it was early in the morning, and it was a drag. We were flying out of London into Germany, and everybody was tired, and we were all together as a group waiting to get on our plane. And all of a sudden on the PA speaker, we heard an announcement on the PA, and a woman said, "Paging Mr. Balzac, Mr. Harold Balzac, please pick up the white phone." And Mike Debanowitz, one of the saxophone players, just started rolling with laughter because he had somehow gotten away from us, and he had Harold Balzac paged on the Heathrow PA. Like, how could you ever forget something like that? Like, that was the kind of stuff that happened on the road that was just amazing. Just incredible.
That is great. Yeah. It's the pranksters that travel with you.
Yes. Yeah. And also I got to give a shout out to our lighting guy, Stu Eloff, was out of Youngstown, Ohio. He traveled with us. Our tour manager who made everything happen, Ed Sargent, out of Memphis, Tennessee. He was Maynard's tour manager for decades, going back to, I think, the late 70s. Like, he was just incredible. He had a bus license, so when the bus driver would get tired, he would take over the bus driving. He ran the lighting board during the show. He called everything like a stage manager. He would tell you when your lobby call was. He was part cruise director, part high school teacher, part cheerleader. Like, he did everything. He paid us. He was our therapist at times. He made everything go on the road. Ed Sargent, like one of the greatest tour managers ever. You need a great tour many moving parts, and he was one of the best.
Yeah. They have a lot of responsibility on those tours.
Oh, yeah.
Paul, you've played with a bunch of other people, including Kurt Elling, who's great, Michael Feinstein, the Pittsburgh Symphony Pops with Byron Stripling, and the fabulous Bob James. Tell me about some of those experiences.
Well, it's just incredible. Right place, right time, some of them. I play with a really great big band here in Pittsburgh called the Pittsburgh Jazz Orchestra, with a lot of amazing players, and we every year bring in one or two people to kind of guest in front of the band. And last year it was Kurt Elling, and Kurt Elling was one of the greatest artists I've ever been able to work with. Not only was he doing it at a high level, but he rehearsed the band, which is not usual for a vocalist. He rehearsed his charts. He ran the rehearsal. We did 2 shows at the Guild, and after the last show, I'll never forget this. He was amazing. He was a great storyteller, wonderful singer, huge ears. After the second show, he waited off stage for all 17 people to come off so that he could shake each one of our hands and say thank you. Thank you so much.
Classic.
And I was like, because Kurt Elling is big time. He's A-level in the jazz world. And for him to do that spoke volumes to me. So he was incredible. Feinstein was incredible, Michael Feinstein. Very intimate. That was a different kind of gig. Just his music director, myself, and a drummer. So really getting inside the music, hearing everything, following him. Dream to work with. Wonderful, wonderful person to work with. And that's part of doing gigs. You learn that you could be a 100-level player, but there's so many other skills you have to bring in the musical world. One is the ability to follow someone, the ability to obviously read music, the ability to show up and be prepared, and also the ability to interact with people and have a good vibe. And if you walk into a situation like that, like a jerk, it's going to make it miserable for everybody. And, you bring yourself and you stay open and you follow. And that gig was awesome. He was a great person, wonderful to work with. And the symphony thing was really a happenstance. They have a wonderful bassist named Jeff Grubbs who plays in their section, but he's a very special one-of-a-kind bass player because his jazz playing is so good and on such a high level. And to be able to do that in a jazz setting and play in a symphony orchestra is incredibly rare. To do those two things, it's almost like being able to play NFL football and then in the off season go and play Major League Baseball. Like it doesn't happen. And he's a one-of-a-kind guy. And he couldn't make one of the Christmas shows, and he recommended that I sub for him, which was a really great opportunity for me to kind of play some jazz and play some holiday music. And it was a dream come true. I was on stage at Heinz Hall, and I was 50 years old, and I was as nervous as a 12-year-old kid going to high school for the first time. Like, I was petrified, and it was really great. It was still really wonderful. And I still pinch myself with some of these musical experiences that I get to have and some of the people I get to play with. There's always something greater than the next thing. The most important gig is the next one. And to have these experiences and it doesn't get any easier, but I appreciate that. It keeps stretching me as a musician. Like, what's the next thing going to be? The next thing could be I'm playing with Ray Angry from The Roots, playing hip hop music, which I did recently. The next thing could be I'm playing with the Jersey Tenors, who do kind of an operatic thing. Like, it's constantly pushing my limits as a musician, stretching me to the next level. And it's like awesome. I couldn't have a better situation as a bass player. And as a musician, I couldn't want a better situation. I don't want to be comfortable. I don't want to do something easy. I want to do something that's going to push me as an artist, as a person. So I'm still out there trying to get it right,
Well, I would say that you get it right always, or you wouldn't get the work, right?
Or, well, I like to say that if, let's say, guy A, bass player A is unavailable, bass player B is unavailable, I'll be there. I'll be there to, gladly step into the gig, even if I got a bone up for it. My motto, especially over the last 5 years, has been say yes and worry about the other stuff later. Say yes.
I think that's what you always have to do.
Yes.
But the fact is you have mad skills. So even if you feel like maybe you weren't 100% on this show or whatever, what you're bringing to the table is so high quality that you did the gig, because you wouldn't get called like you do. You're always busy, and you wouldn't stay busy, right? Yeah.
I try to bring something unique to the table. I've been doing this for so long. My first professional gig was when I was 16. The summer I was 16 in 1990. And I've always known, and this is an interesting lesson, I've never considered myself the best at anything. But I've always used that as a motivational tool. When you're not the best, you can't be late. When you're not the best, you got to be able to get along with people. People are going to want you. They want to want you to be around. When you're not the best, you got to be as prepared as you possibly can be. So that's always been my attitude, is take care of all those other things. I'm not the guy who's going to come in and play a solo that will make you spit your drink out. But I will be the guy that's there on time, whose gear sounds right, who knows the music and is prepared and easy to get along with. I'll be listening to everybody else on stage. Like all the stuff that I can control, I'm gonna make sure I take care of it.
And you do. And you're downplaying your abilities, in my opinion. But I'll tell you this. I would take 100 of you to the one that you think's better and has a bad attitude and is late. And I'll be honest with you, but I've hired people in my own group that didn't play as well as another guy, but they were easier to get along with, and they were on time, and they didn't have an attitude. And it's you're doing it right, and you're an amazing player, but you're doing everything else right, which is why you're accomplishing what you are.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're doing great. And I'm really proud of you, man. Cause I met you when you were young, and I think I have about 10 years on you. So something like that.
Well, you paved the way, man. I was watching you when I was a kid. I was watching you thinking, man, I want to play like that. I want to do that.
Wow. That's kind of you, and you're playing great. And not only you're playing great, you're adding so much to people's lives with your YouTube channel and educating people. And it's not only educational, it's entertaining. Because you present it in such a way. And by the way, I want people to know, you're going to see Paul. He doesn't just play bass. He's got some piano chops, and he's playing some chordal stuff. He's demonstrating different synthesizer patches that are used on tunes. Am I right? You're going deep dive on some of these things.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I also have some editing chops, so you gotta have editing chops if you want, because some of that piano stuff, I do some clever edits so that you can you don't have to hear how poorly I played it initially.
Hey, listen, we all have those.
Yeah.
With the advent of digital recording, trust me, a lot of stuff's pieced together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I never wanted to really be a teacher 25 years ago. And that's something that my wife pushed me into. And I've really leaned into it. And I understand. My mother is a teacher, I was around it, and now I've really leaned into it, and I really love it now. I really love being a teacher and kind of teaching people about
speaking of
things.
your teaching, speaking of that, you teach at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. You're teaching at West Virginia University, right?
Yes.
And you also teach at CAPA, which is a performing arts school in Pittsburgh, correct?
That's right. Yes, that's a public school.
Yeah. So tell me, are you full-time faculty, or are you adjunct?
I'm adjunct at all three of those places. I teach at CAPA during the school year 5 days a week, and I have 21 hours. So mostly I go in and I teach 3 hours a day during the arts classes portion. 2 of those days, there's a middle school contingent and a high school contingent. The middle schoolers do their arts in the morning. High schoolers do their arts in the afternoon. All 5 days I'm working with high schoolers for arts, and 2 days a week I do the whole day. So I do private lessons with the middle schoolers in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Mondays, as soon as I'm done with CAPA, I go over to Duquesne and I do private lessons there as an adjunct. And on Wednesdays, as soon as the CAPA day ends, I get in my car and I drive to Morgantown, and I work with a small group there, but also private lessons. And they've just been unbelievable. WVU, I'm not trying to give them a commercial, but they have a great group of people down there, and their students are excited. And I wouldn't want to be driving over an hour every week unless I really loved doing it. It's such a pleasure to go down there and work with those students and the rest of the jazz faculty. It's really a joy. It's a lot of when we get in the thick of the school year, and I'm doing all 3 of those gigs all week and playing gigs, on the weekends and other things that I'm doing here and making content. It gets really, really nuts during the school year, but I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't really love it. And I love working with younger people and teaching music and helping them discover music like I did.
Yeah. Well, you're a great mentor for these kids and young adults. They're so blessed to have you there. I mean, I can't imagine, like, if I were in high school and I had somebody of your caliber coming in to teach me guitar at the time, seriously. I mean, it's really cool that they get exposed to such a fine player as you. So that's very, I think it's amazing that places are still doing that, because music's kind of taken a hit over the years.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's still, I mean, it's hanging on. It's hanging on by a thread right now, but it's really good that it is. And there's still high school kids, there's still a point. So I teach music history too. That's one of the things I have to do at CAPA. I teach music history 1 and music history 2. And there are still kids who won't do their homework. There's still kids, who won't get off their phones during class. I still have to deal with teenagers. It's still that too.
I get that. It's great you're teaching history, because history, especially in music, man, it's so important. In fact, Curtis, my friend Curtis Swift.
Yes.
So Curtis has a great transcription website called saxsolos.com. I think it's the largest transcription site on the internet.
Wow.
He has over 5,500 transcriptions up. So that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Geez.
But you were talking about your influences earlier, and he always likens it to food, because that's pretty much what he thinks about. And he would come up to me if he were here right now. He'd say, "Hey, Tom, what do you think Paul likes to eat?" And he would mean what you like to listen to musically. And I think you're very eclectic, like I am. So, and you have to be, because you're doing all these different types of gigs. So you have to expose yourself to as much content as you can, because you need to be somewhat authentic when you play these different styles, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And authentic when I do my videos too. And my listening tastes tend to change. I still listen definitely for enjoyment and nourishment, but also, I will really deep dive the music when I'm talking about, right now I'm prepping a video on Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. Wow. And I've been like seriously in that, that's all I've been listening to, like pulling it apart, and that's seriously in my head until the next thing,
Yeah. Which is why people have to check out your channel. Who goes from Miles Davis to Kaja Gugu? I mean, come on. Come on. It's really cool. I mean, you got Bob Marley, you got Kaja Gugu, you have the Stones, there's a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And I find it, I play bass too. I record a lot of my own bass parts,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm on there checking stuff out, man. I'm like, what can I learn from Paul today?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. It's really cool. So, Paul, we mentioned that you'd worked with Bob James. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, that was really wonderful. There's a guitarist who works for the Benedetto Guitar Company named Howard Paul, who's a wonderful guy and a really tremendous guitarist. And I had worked with him a couple times on a couple of trips he made to Pittsburgh with a vocalist named Jessica Lee. And we had a really great time playing. And so he has a duo with Bob. They met each other because I guess Bob was going to Savannah, which is where he's from. Bob was going on vacation to Savannah, and they kind of hooked up there, and they started playing gigs and recording CDs together. So there was a possibility that Bob was going to come in and play at the Manchester Craftsmen's Guild with Howard. And so he called me because he knew I was here and we'd worked together. And he called a great drummer here named James Johnson that I've been playing with since I was a kid. And we did this gig, and it was like a bucket list kind of gig. Bob James has been a hero of mine for many, many, many years, and his music is so ubiquitous. Whether you like jazz or TV shows. We did do Angela, the theme from Taxi. That was the one tune I think everybody wants to hear when he's on a gig, and that was just a dream come true. Was working with Howard, working with Bob. We played mostly standards, and Bob was a beautiful guy. I will tell you this: he's one of the most creative musicians I've ever played with. Nothing expected comes out of him. It's just like, wow, how did he think of that? Yeah. Always coming from a different angle and purely devoted to the sound, and not necessarily, I'm going to knock you out with this incredible line I just played. Just beautiful music coming out of him, and just so creative. The way he comped it was all incredibly fruitful, and just playing with him was so easy, and we had so much fun. And I love to do bowed solos occasionally if I feel my courage get up there, and like he gave me that courage to kind of take out the bow and play an arco solo, because he was being so creative and making the music happen. So it was a dream come true to play with him, but being on stage with him was a whole other level. Just one of the most creative musicians I've ever played with.
Yeah, he's wonderful. His writing, and I just find when I listen to him, he's got a real sensitive approach to playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm going to kill you with my chops, but I'm gonna slay you with my sensitivity. He just plays the right stuff at the right place.
Yeah, it's compositional, very compositional. The way that he played was really great.
Yeah, well, how fortunate you were to play with him, and how fortunate he was to have you on the gig, right?
Oh yeah, it was definitely my pleasure. That was a feather in my cap.
Well,
getting to play with him.
Bob told me. No, he's that PT. By the way, Don Alico, when he told me to tell you hi, he said, "Tell PT I said hey." So,
that's my guy. We've been playing.
Moniker has stuck because he's all the way in Nashville, and he said, "Tell you hey," and he said PT.
He is one of my favorite musicians on the planet. He's a great guy.
He's a great player and a great guy. And his dad is so cool too.
Legendary. Yeah. Still out there, still coming out.
96, man.
Unbelievable.
96. Don said he's actually close to 97 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And still, man, still out there burning.
He is. He's so cool. So I'm going to ask you something that's probably different.
Okay.
I like to talk to people about silver linings in life, because all of us have something weird happen at some point in life. You've had your own issues with MS, and I wonder if there is an experience or a moment in your life that was not great at all, that was really quite bad, but eventually you saw this silver lining in that tragic thing or whatever it was that wasn't cool.
Sure.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, well, something happened recently, other than the MS thing, which I will say my diagnosis at 30 was the scariest thing I've ever been through.
I'm sure.
But I changed my life, and I knew I had to change my life then. I knew that I had to start being fit. My neurologist said, you can beat this, but you have to be strong. So I made my body strong. I started becoming more focused. I started becoming more deliberate about the moment and whatever I'm doing, the gig that I'm playing, the food I'm eating, the music I'm listening to. It changed the direction of my life, and it made it. I can't say that I would be the person I am today without MS happening. Made me much greater than I think I ever could have been. But I did have something happen recently. So my wife was experiencing a lot of stomach pain right before New Year's of 2025. That whole week, she was not doing well. And we went to the hospital. They said that she had diverticulitis, and they gave her antibiotic. They said it should clear up. Just take this. And 2 days later, we had to call the ambulance, which I never had to do before. And she was rushed to the hospital. And she ended up spending 2 months in the hospital. She had surgery that day that was laparoscopic. And then they found out she was septic. And basically they had to take out a portion of her colon, and she had a bag and everything. And the ordeal of my wife spending all of January and all of February last year in the hospital is something that was transformative. And as far as our relationship goes, we've never been closer. Like going through that, going to see my wife in the hospital every day, seeing her finally come back, it proves to me there are going to be trials in life. There are going to be major obstacles, storms that you don't think you can weather, sicknesses, that seem, insurmountable. But if you have love and faith in each other, you can absolutely get through it. And that was something I wasn't sure that we were going to get through. And she almost died. I mean, she ended up having total 4 surgeries.
Oh yeah.
And she spent 2 months in the hospital, and I didn't even know, it was crazy. And having to be there and for my wife and our family, and yeah, it made us stronger as a couple and as individuals than you could ever think. And something like that can tear you apart as a couple. It can destroy you. And I love her so much more today than I did then. It's unbelievable, and it's like on to the next thing, like I'm so glad she's here. And the reason I talk about it too is just it's so recent,
Yeah.
And we're just like, she's just now seeing people who are like, oh my God, you look so good now. You look like you're back after last year.
Wonderful.
So that's just, every problem is an opportunity. Every problem is there's something inside of it. The little ones, the really big ones. There's an opportunity to change, to grow, to be better than you were before it. And that's I've been really fortunate that I've been able to have that kind of outlook when things kind of get difficult. And I have a great partner who supports me, spending hours and hours down here in the basement, not just making videos, but when I'm, at the end of the night, honey, I got to practice. I got to put in 90 minutes. Please let me go downstairs and practice. And she's been great with that. So
you're blessed. I have the same thing, and we have some similar things. I was on the other side of the coin. I was kind of like your wife because I had sepsis.
Yeah.
And my wife, we were in South Carolina. We went there because we lost our house to coal mine subsidence during COVID. So we had to move out of our home and couldn't find housing. And that's how we ended up there. And then I ended up in emergency surgery our first week. So my wife is you. She had to be the caretaker. She wasn't sure I was going to make it. I had 9 months of antibiotics, and they sent me home with a PICC line, and she was my nurse, and all that stuff, and it's really great to hear that, Paul, because you've had some adversity, but you see the silver linings, and I'm so glad that you do, and I'm so thankful that you're sharing this with people, because I feel like besides talking about music on this channel, I want people to feel encouraged, because man, all of us have that. You're not going to stop something bad from happening.
Right.
I mean, stuff happens. If you live a life long enough, you're going to have something happen, right?
Yep.
And some have it happen early. Some may not have much, but eventually we all have something that we have to deal with, and it's how we deal with them that matters, and how we attack the situation. So you're doing great. You're a cool and kind and talented guy and positive. I mean, it's just the whole thing, man. You're doing so great, and I'm really happy for you and proud of you, because even though, like I said, we have maybe 10 years apart, I always thought, I still think you're that young guy, you're that young guy I'm real proud of, so I'm so glad. But thanks for sharing that, and I'm glad that I asked the question.
No, thank you.
So I have one more question for you. What still brings you joy today?
Wow. So many things. Can I name more than one?
Yeah, man.
My gosh. I love listening to a great piece of music. There's still, when I'm having a bad day, music has that power to pick you up. And it's still today, it still picks me up. When I put on some good music, it brings me so much joy. But so does, I love spending time with my wife. I love eating good food. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. I love a great bite out of cornbread. Oh my God. It's one of the greatest things that I love. We just went to Maine for a wedding, for my niece's wedding, and we had lobster every day we were there, and it was incredible. I love good food. I love spending time with friends. I love being with a group of friends and everybody talking and the way we interact with each other. I love taking trips. My wife and I still make a point. We don't have any kids, and she has wanderlust. She loves to travel. So we go to visit friends or visit new places. And I love to laugh. Laughing is one of the great parts of being human. And is there anything more joyful than having a good laugh over something? Mm-hmm. It feels so full, like you just ate a good meal, you know? There's a lot of stuff, but I guess those are the first things that come to my mind.
Wonderful answer. And I'm so glad that you spent the time with me. You're a stellar musician, a stellar individual, and I'm sure that people are going to garner much good from this interview with you, because you are good. You spread good. You are the epitome of good, my friend. I think I'm real happy for you.
Thank you, Tony. It's my honor to sit here and talk with you. And like I said before, you paved this road that I'm walking on. It's your shoulders that I'm standing on. If I'm up there, you know, like you're one of my heroes.
Oh, that's kind of
so. Thank you for the inspiration and being the guiding light.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you for saying that. All right, Paul. Well, listen, everybody. PD Bass, YouTube. And I can't tell you how great his channel is. I mean, it's fabulous. It's just a fabulous channel. He's awesome in every way. You'll be entertained. You'll be informed. It's really cool. And hey, if Will Lee thinks it's cool, in fact, people may not know who Will Lee is, but if you ever watched David Letterman, okay, Will Lee was the bass player, the blonde-haired bass player. Sometimes he had sunglasses on, but he was a bass player and he's a session studio singer. He sang too, right?
Yes.
So anyway, much recorded. The guy's on I don't know how many albums. And
thousands probably.
Yeah. So this guy is sharing Paul's video, okay? Because he knows great stuff when he sees it. So, Paul, the very best to you. Continued blessings, man.
Thank you, Tony. Same to you. It's great to sit down with you.